like, what is going on here? Like, they were upset. And then, like, Pat Price was able to say what some of the documents said that were in the filing cabinet. He said there's a filing cabinet on the fourth floor underground. It's green. It's located right here. It's one of the files say this.
Wow.
The filing cabinet was there. The names on the documents were like top secret classified. Like no one had access to these names. And when they said the documents say this, the military was like, how did you find that out? Like they swarmed this like research institute because they're like, how do you guys know this?
Yeah.
Like what, how did you find this out? Like we need to know where the security leak is. Like it was a huge deal.
That's so
And
scary.
they both zeroed in on this because they thought they couldn't be asking us about this cabin. It must be this huge secret military base. And the guy who had the cabin didn't even know that was there.
I was gonna ask about that. Like, how does he not
He had no
know?
idea.
What? Wow. What are the chances?
I don't know.
That's like really wild. Now I want to learn this. I want to learn how to do this.
I know. Like I'm just like how can you say it's not real when these things have happened and they're
Yeah.
not just these are stories I got from the CIA website. Like this happened.
Right.
They were doing this research. And this below here I have some pictures of stuff. So these were from Ingo Swann. This was in one of the reports of the psychic work he had done. So I have items that he was asked to identify that were like in a box, and then his drawings of them.
Mm.
So he said, it's definitely something thin and long with a nail at the head or at the end, a nail head at the end, silver colored. And he drew, I don't know, do you want to describe his first drawing there? I mean, I don't
Uh,
know.
I'd say it's like a tube with like two ends on it and then like a nail separately, but like very thin tube. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a spool of thread and a pin.
Yeah. That's pretty close. The
Right.
description's better. I can't draw either, so I was wondering how these drawings would
Well,
be,
and
but
they just get like the vibe. Like
yeah,
they kind of get feelings and ideas of what it is, but like
you don't just like
he's not
see it
wrong.
clearly. Right, yeah. That's like very accurate. Yeah, the other one.
Yeah, the next one he drew like it's like a spiral and then another more loose spiral and then kind of like a line with spirals on the end that curled towards each other, and he said a nautilus shape with a tail, and it was like a leaf that was curled up.
I don't know what nautilus means.
It's like that it, it's like the spiral shell,
Oh,
and then it
okay.
like sticks out and it has like
Oh. Yeah,
tentacles.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it's all curled up, and he
Right.
got it. Had leaves do have like a
Yeah, like
stem,
yeah, yeah. I think his words are better than his drawings, but
right? Yeah,
that would be me if I learned how to do this.
yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty accurate. The other one,
I know. Like, yeah. This next one was a. He wrote, the strongest image I get is like a belt, and it's. I mean, the picture. I don't. I don't know how to describe that, but it was a leather belt keyring.
yeah.
And it looks like when you look at the picture, you're like, yeah, I mean, that looks like someone who can't draw trying to draw something.
Right, yeah. It kind of looks like a belt buckle. I mean, he's got that like L shape in there
Right.
and the black behind it.
I'm going to post these on our Instagram so
Okay,
that
yeah.
people can see what I'm talking about because I feel like describing it is a little bit hard. But I guess that's what he was doing, anyways, just describing
Right.
it. The next one was, he said, like a miniature tower and like a miniature tower, scalloped bottom, light beige, and it was a can of sand,
Yeah. That seems pretty accurate.
which, yeah, like the drawing, I wish the pictures were a little more clear, but they're old photocopies, but it was literally like
It looks, yeah.
a can. Yeah, it looks like it. It's crazy. And then the last one, he put like a penguin, gray and black and white, pointed or slightly rounded off at the top, open or pointed at the bottom, and it was a gray and white like quill of a feather. I don't think it had the feather on it. I think it's just the like quill tip. I don't know if his drawing is. I guess if he's drawing it from the side. Okay, before I was like, that doesn't look anything like it, but it's like a front view
Right, yeah, the
of a
picture. Yeah.
quill. And it looks like
Yeah.
it.
And again, the description's very accurate.
Right.
Wow.
Like a
Do you
penguin.
think everyone can do this or just people like him?
They say that they can. They say that they can train anyone to do it, and they have. Like, Russell Targ did a like control with like a family friend who said she's never done anything like this before, and she like located. First of all, she like accurately described. Was it Nikolai Breznov? Breznov? I don't know who he is, but his office in Russia, like no one in the US had ever seen it before. Like they didn't have pictures of it. They said red leather door, big old desk, and some weird object, and she like accurately described it. And Russell Targ went to Russia. Like he was invited to Russia later and went, even though he didn't have permission from the government to go, he just went. And they were like treating him like a king, and they're like, he's like, they're like, is there anything you'd like to see? He's like, I want to see The Office. And it was right. Like, it was exactly
Wow.
right.
Yeah. Huh.
And she also, I want to say she found like the lost Library of Alexandria or something.
What?
Like some kind of like ruins. She went there and she said it's right here. And then they dug it up and it was right there. And she had not done this before. And even the researchers did it and they were able to do it. They say anyone can learn this if you just try and are like trained to do it. Like if you know the technique and you work at it, you can learn to do it.
I feel like also it's like following more of your intuition, right? Like you have to trust that.
Yeah. Quieting your mind and like listening to what you get and being okay with some of it being like wrong.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
And then here I have a few more pictures of like they gave them coordinates of known known things. And this one he wrote 3 tall white things, like I think smokestacks, but not exactly smokestacks.
Yeah.
He said funny shape. I can't really read cursive. Mountains in the distance, not too high. Seems somewhere arid and sandy. And it was Minuteman missiles on display. I'm not sure where, but like it was accurate.
Yeah.
Which, if you look at the picture and what he drew, like I see it.
Yeah, I can see
And you
it.
think
Yeah.
you can even kind of see the mountains in the background a little bit. I mean, these
Yeah,
are,
the picture's not good.
yeah, bad pictures, but
But yeah. I mean the missile.
I know, like he got it.
Yeah.
Funnel shape, like
Right.
how would he freaking know?
Yeah.
And the next one was a base that they drew. I don't know what the prompt was for this, but they even have like connecting lines. Like here's a runway, here's this, here's that, a building. Like it matches up, which is so weird to me. Like how do they know? There's no way they have all of these memorized to be able to draw the site in
Right.
such detail. And I look at these and I'm like, this could easily be someone who's drawing from memory trying to draw something. Like it's not bad.
Right. That's pretty crazy. Also, like the direction's correct.
Right.
Wow.
Crazy. They also actually helped solve the Patty Hearst case. She was an heiress who was kidnapped and held for ransom. And like they said, oh, we kind of think she's here maybe. And they also were given like a whole page of like not possible suspects, but like faces.
Oh.
I think past criminals or something. And they literally pointed at a guy and it was him.
Wow.
And they actually got like commendation from the like police department that was investigating this because they helped so much.
Why did people stop using these people?
Maybe they didn't.
Wow, that's true.
I don't know. And then there was also Angela Ford who was in this, and at any given time there were only like 10 people, so there aren't many anyway, and I think a lot of them are secret still.
Wow.
But Angela Ford was with the project for 9 years, and on one instance, she was asked where a man named Charles Jordan was, who was a former customs agent. She had never met him, she didn't know who he was, but he had gone rogue and like was on the run. I don't know what he did, but he was on the run.
Hmm.
And they said, "Where is he?" And she goes, "I'm like getting the feeling of like Wyoming." And she spelled out Lowell. Lowell. They called the people who had asked them, they're like, "What's your intel on this?" And they asked her, and they called them back, and they were like, "Well, we're getting like the Wyoming feeling, maybe Lowell." He was being apprehended 100 miles from Lovell, Lovell, Wyoming. She was off by
Wow.
one letter.
Yeah.
And like there's not a lot in Wyoming. Like 100 miles, that probably was the closest actual town.
Right, yeah.
So for her to be that close
Right. That's really crazy.
from just from a name, she probably got shown a picture of him.
Right. That's really scary though, that they could do that.
I know.
Because this guy's on the run and they're like, "Where is he?" And she's just like, "Oh, I think here."
Right.
Like, what?
Yeah. And they like the movie The Men Who Stare at Goats
Oh.
is like based off of this, I think. And I mean, there's just so many stories of here's pictures in an envelope. They accurately guessed what the picture was without seeing it or opening the envelope. Like it was all of these trials. And like after Jimmy Carter actually accidentally blew the cover on this in 94 because he was giving a speech at, I want to say at a university, and someone asked him a question and he answered that there was like a downed airplane in the Congo and they found it based on the psychics. And he, like, the guy was there. Like, he was still alive, but he was missing, and they literally found him based on the psychic. So Jimmy Carter, who wasn't the president anymore, spilled that. And then everyone's like, "Hold on, what? What did you just say?" And then the government was like, "Oh, yeah, we actually aren't doing that anymore."
Wow. Yeah, I feel like they are.
Yes, they are. Like, people, and the people who were involved with this, who still keep in touch with people who are still involved with this, say that like they're still doing this, but of course they'll say, "Oh yeah, we stopped doing that in 91." 3 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they come out and say it and then they say, "Oh, we don't do that anymore." But like why wouldn't they keep doing it if it's so accurate?
Yeah.
And also a very talented psychic that was in this was Joseph McGonigal, who was in the military, and like they've come out and like made him look like a complete idiot after it came out that he was involved with this because they didn't want his like credibility.
No.
Like they just trashed him. But all the like past stuff, all the documents say that he was like very accurate and very good. And the military made him look like an idiot. And then after all of this kind of came out, when they were deciding if they wanted to continue, they supposedly had statisticians like look into the efficacy of the project, and they weren't allowed to see any of their like covert, like anything that was classified they weren't allowed to see. But some congressman basically got the information and called this lady who was like the statistician. She was like, honestly, in her report she wrote that it was effective and that there was like, based on their research, like they statistically what they're doing is significant, but I can't even see the undercover stuff. And this guy got all the documents and he called her and he was like, "Hey,